HOMESCHOOLING here, and today we're going to be talking about California homeschooling, how it's different from Colorado homeschooling, and how we've been doing with it so far.
Yeah, so Presley has a couple of tests to take. She's taken one, she's got to take another one here in a couple of minutes. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about what's going on with our homeschooling. So California is different in that legally there's no such thing as homeschooling in California. You don't really homeschool. Every kid is enrolled in a school. It's just that they have a very loose definition of school. Right? And so it's actually really easy to form a private school. And so a lot of people who homeschool, you have several options, but one of the primary options people choose is you basically you legally form a private school that has one teacher and one student. But your kid is enrolled into a private school and going to a private school. It's just your own private school. You call it whatever you want, and then you can kind of do whatever you want. One of the other options, which is the option that we chose currently, is there are charter schools, so bigger school organizations, and they have teachers, and you sign up with them, and then legally, like I became a TA at that charter school, a teacher's assistant. And so I am a teacher's assistant for that teacher, who is the way that I assist that teacher is by teaching my kids. And then in that scenario, you meet with that teacher. It can be virtually or in person, like once a month or so. Different schools require different frequency of meetings. And then you submit work samples every few weeks or so, just like one thing that the kids did during each academic period kind of thing. And so I think over the course of a semester, you submit maybe 10, 15 pieces of work. And it can be pretty much anything. And sometimes your teacher kind of has a preference of the kinds of things that they like to see. And so the kids just kind of do something really quick, and then we grade it. And then we submit it in to the teacher, who then keeps track of all of it at the charter school. The advantage of doing that is that that's a little bit more, that state school gets state funds, and so you get access to those funds. And so we get direct access to some of those funds to spend on academic activities for you guys. Again, academic activities is obviously pretty loosely defined in that scenario too. For example, we're using it right now to get some Disney passes, because Disney has a homeschool program where they have an educational series, and so you can use some of those dollars to pay for those kinds of things. You can pay for museum family memberships. I'd like to do the Natural History Museum, Nature and Science, or whatever it's called here. So you can do a lot of those kinds of things. You can pay for classes, you can pay for tutors, you can buy materials, so you can actually buy a laptop or a tablet or books or those kinds of things. But when you buy real assets, they belong to the school. And so at the end of your time with the school, or maybe even at the end of the school year, you're supposed to turn those things back into the school and let the school keep them. And so Mommy and I sort of call it Brewster's Millions, which you have no idea what that is, but that was a movie from a long time ago where this guy, he had an inheritance, and I can't remember what it was. He got $3 million, and if he could spend that $3 million maybe in 30 days and have nothing to show for it, then he got $30 million. Or maybe it was 30 million and 300 million. I can't remember what the numbers were. But he got one batch of money, and he had to spend all of that money with nothing to show for it. And then if he accomplished that, and he couldn't tell anybody what he was doing. He couldn't tell anybody that's why he was doing it. So he was just blowing. People knew that he got this money, and he was just blowing through it, and he couldn't tell people why he was doing it. And he couldn't buy a house with it, or a car, or something tangible. He had to just kind of blow the money, right? And so it's because we don't want to keep track of things that we buy and turn them back in, we are spending it on things like museum memberships and tutors and classes and things like that, so that there's no real assets we have to keep track of. Yeah, so there's two other reasons. One of them is some people see it as a negative, some people see it as a positive, I think, for the charter school path. And that is the standardized testing, which is what we sort of talked about. I think we mentioned that at some point in this video, since that's kind of what we're talking about. So they don't necessarily require, but if you're enrolled in a charter, or you're set up as the charter that I was explaining earlier, one of the things you're supposed to do is take the standardized state test. The 360 test is one of the ones that we're taking right now. So they use 360. The school that we're with, the charter school that we're with, uses that as more of an internal assessment. So you take one at the beginning of a semester, and then you take it again at the end of the semester to see if you've done better. And then there's an actual Cal something, I'm sure it's called Cal something, state test that you have to take to measure like proficiency or something. I don't know what it is. And so you can like write a letter and say, I don't want my kid taking that test. Even if you're with a charter school, you can say, I don't want you can try and opt out. And the way I understand it is that the schools have a state requirement that like 95% of their students take the test, right? They have to get like a 95% adoption kind of rate. And so if 5% of the students at the charter school say they don't want to take the test, it's not a big deal.
Right.
Like they're okay, that's fine. I still hit my goal. But if 10% don't want to, or 30% don't want to, then they have to do something. Like they can say, okay, look, you don't have to take the test, but you can't be a student here anymore. You have to leave the school so that I keep my 95% of people taking the test. And we're going to take the test because we don't care. I like the fact that they do like a pre-assessment and then a post to see what your progress is, to see how you've done better. And so she's about to take her pre-test for math here as soon as we finish this. She took her pre-test for lit last week, and we got the results back. And what were those?
I was in the top 2%, I think.
Yeah, like the 98th percentile in lit of all the people who took the test. It said that she was reading at a 12th grade plus level. Like I think that was as high as they go.
Yay!
So she maxed out all the scores pretty much on the lit. So how you improve from that, I'm not sure like what her improvement is going to look like at the end, because I don't think they score higher on that test. So Presley basically aced that test. She didn't exactly ace it because I think she was like 99 on a lot of them. So maybe she could ace it when she takes it at the end of the semester. That would be an improvement. But we don't really have like, here's the test and here's the questions you missed and stuff, so we can't dig in. But we'll keep it tells you the subject matter, like the different kinds of things and how you did. But she did like 98, 99 on all of those things. So that was awesome.
Yeah, right? That was cool.
So hopefully we'll see the same thing on math here in a few minutes. But yeah, so you'll take the pre-test, and then that gives you some idea of things you need to work on, and then we'll come back at the end of the semester and take it again, because really what they care about is progress, which is how school should be, right? It shouldn't necessarily be at the end of this grade, here are the things. Like there are objective-based education that by the end of this grade you can do these things, and then there's education that's more about improvement and progress over time. And so this is clearly more focused on progress, which I support. Cooper took his little test too. We haven't got his results back for his lit test, early reading I think, or something like that it was. So when we get Presley's math results back, we'll probably get Cooper's results too and see how he did.
Cool.
Yeah, but like every state has very different rules and regulations around homeschooling.
Because in Colorado, you could just kind of do what you want.
Colorado, you kind of just said, I'm homeschooling, I'm opting out of the system,
and
basically.
then you go, okay, and then you kick it.
And like here, like I said, there's just no such thing as homeschooling. You're not really homeschooling.
You're enrolled in a school.
You create your own private school, or you become a TA at a charter school.
Yeah.
So the last thing that was really beneficial for the charter for us was, here in California, obviously with all the child actor laws and child work things that have gone on here, they're pretty strict about how a kid like Presley can do work and earn money.
Yeah.
And so you have to get a work permit for a minor, and they have different kinds. There's an entertainment work permit that's more like the child actor kind of thing. But you need like someone at your school to sign off and basically say you're doing well in school and you're doing fine, and this is not going to hurt you academically to do this kind of work. And so if you do a charter school, which we did, there is a person that you know who you go to, you send them the thing and they sign off on it and approve it, and it's a pretty easy process. If you do a PSA, then really you're kind of supposed to go to like the superintendent of the school district where you live and have like it's a little bit more rigmarole. And there are apparently like some ways around it where you can, since you're creating a private school, like you can't sign it, but you can sort of hire someone at your private school that is responsible for signing work permits, and that person signs it for you. And like that's, I'm sure it's okay, but that feels a little shady to me.
I know, that doesn't feel legal.
And then like the whole process of trying to track down a superintendent's office and talk to somebody that didn't have any idea who Presley was and stuff was really weird for us. So for the work permit process, like the charter was a lot better too. And it was easy, you know, we sent off the paperwork and everything and got it back pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I was actually pretty happy with that. And every 6 months you have to renew your work permit for 6 months. And so since we have to do that a lot, having a place we can go and get that done, I think is super helpful. What have you thought about the process here so far? I mean, it hasn't really been too different for you.
Yeah, I do have like the assignments I have to submit for charter school, which is new.
That's good. So Presley, the big differences for you have probably been that, we have to have like tangible work product that we can submit.
Which is weird, because not a lot of our work is tangible.
Right.
Because I work on a computer.
Right.
So, there's been a lot
But I think that's good. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You have the tests.
Tests.
Yeah.
You only had to do, in Colorado, you didn't even have to. This was just something you decided to do.
Yeah.
Is that every 2 years you would take a standardized test?
Yep.
So I only had to do it twice. Because I think it started at like 4th grade.
Something like that.
So I only had to do it 3rd grade, sorry. And I had to do it twice, and then I was done. I didn't like it both times.
Right.
I don't like tests. Possibly because I don't have an attention span long enough for them. So like I'll do the first
You definitely have like test panic because you don't take a lot of tests.
Yes.
So you have some test anxiety. Like as soon as a clock starts ticking, you kind of freak out. Even in like video games and stuff, if there's a timer, Presley kind of freaks. Like she likes to work on her own pace for sure.
Yeah.
No, the other thing, and it's not related to homeschool in this case, but like when you were doing the thing and you were on set, like having a teacher on set and having like 3 hours of dedicated time of learning is something that you're going to have to get more used to.
That was weird.
Because that's a different thing.
Yeah, it was new, certainly.
Yeah.
But like with tests, like I don't think I have an attention span long enough because I'll do the first couple questions and I'll be fine. And I'll start getting bored, and then I won't be fine. I'll just be like, this is so boring, I want to be done. And then I'll either rush and fail, and then that will make me upset, or I'll start panicking because I slow down because I'm bored.
Right.
Tests are just generally not good things.
These are pretty quick little tests, though. Like, this is not a major...
Yeah. I like doing the GED. Well, I mean, you
do the GED though, but you take like 4 hours.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
To do like a 20-minute.
That's what I'm saying, because it's better and I can work at my own pace.
And it's not that it takes you, like, it's really funny because she'll do, like an assignment that's supposed to be like a little 10-minute test or something, and right now we're not timing or any of this stuff. And so she'll take a few hours to do it, and then when I pick up her work, it's like 4 pages of doodles, and then like 3 answers to questions. Right? So there's a lot of diversions going on.
Yeah.
So eventually we have to work on sort of bringing that in and having her get used to
because I could do the test probably in less than 20 minutes.
You could.
But I just get distracted easily.
Yeah, but you made like a 98 percentile.
So this is a good practice. Yeah. This is a good practice.
But that was literature. Literature isn't hard because I'm going to say this now. Every single in the GED and everything, every single math, history, and literature test I've ever taken recycled reading comprehension. All of it. Like it's been at least a really long time, and I don't remember it. If I've taken like a state.
You mean like word problems?
Well, kind of like a state issued test.
Like how are the math things reading comprehension?
No, like it gives you a paragraph and says this is how the science works, and then you answer questions about how the science works. That's reading comprehension.
Yeah, but you said math too, didn't you?
No, I said history, science.
Okay.
And
No.
every single one.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time since I've taken a test that wasn't issued by you.
They're not. They're not
me on how I know science.
They're not super testing you on science because you read an article about science and then you answer a question. What did that article say about science?
I know. It's stupid. I don't like it. Like, if you're gonna give me a test about science, give me a test about science.
It's a reading comprehension exam. The reading just has to do with science. Yeah, the reading has to do with the science topic. Yeah, no, that's totally true. That's true.
So that's one of my main complaints with it because it doesn't, because like the only 2 subjects that you have to learn in school is reading comprehension and math, and otherwise you'll be fine. Because I guess not in public school because pop quizzes.
You have other tests. Yeah, standardized tests aren't your only tests.
But if you want to pass a standardized test, like all you have to know is those things.
Well, it depends. Other standardized tests have other things. Like we'll start doing like some SAT prep here pretty soon, probably.
And that is.
And that'll test you a little bit more on what you know. That's the college entrance exam.
Okay.
They're very similar. Like you exit high school and you go into college, and so the GED is sort of exiting high school, and the SAT is going in. So they're kind of in the same space.
Okay, so that wouldn't be 2.
They're not. I don't. I think if you can do the GED, you can do the SAT.
Okay.
So I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. So,
okay. I think we've talked enough.
Yeah, just talking about homeschooling.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a comment below. giving us any tips you have if you have homeschooled in Colorado before, or asking us questions.
California.
In California specifically. And if you have questions about homeschooling here, we may not.
Like what your standardized test experiences have been.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to hear about.
Tell me how to deal with them.
Oh, or test taking tips. That's excellent. If you guys have some strategies for staying calm during a test.
Suck. Especially, like, I can take a test, but if there's a timer, that's what stresses me out, because I know that I can't. I have to do it fast.
That's a great point. We would love to hear some test-taking advice from you guys.
Yes, tests are hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!
Bye, guys.